Hello again, I am Jim Bob, and welcome back to Railway Empire on the PS4. We're going into Chapter 2 of the campaign today. Obviously, as you can see, and as I said last time out, I have already played this chapter just to get a feel for the game and more of an understanding of what it is I'm trying to achieve as I'm playing. And I'm ready to kind of jump in and take you through Chapter 2. We'll be playing the rest of them as a first look next time out as well, so let's go into Chapter 2. This chapter is all about the modest beginnings of the railroads, but how they then quickly revolutionised transportation in the USA, helping to revive the prosperity of the industrial centres on the East Coast. While you are building your first railroad empire and leading your rail tracks further towards the west to the Great Lakes, you will also learn about the economic systems behind Railway Empire. Philip Evan Thomas, the well-known railway enthusiast from Baltimore, will be right by your side. So you can see we are starting in Baltimore. We have $2 million to start us off, and we need every cent of it. It's quite an expensive map on this one. Quite a lot of hills and mountains for us to pass through in places. Some big bridges we'll have to build, and so on and so forth. And you can see we are up against two AI competitors this time out. So, once again we are stuck as the industrialist. We'll select that, and then we'll get our little history lesson at the start of this chapter of the campaign.
In 1830, the prosperous industrial centers on the east coast of the United States of America were poorly connected to the mainland. Insufficiently developed toll roads and slow ship canals were the only options when making long journeys. Farmers, businessmen, and travelers lamented these long, arduous, and above all, unsafe transport routes. They were not only an inconvenience for travelers, but also shackles on an emergent nation's hunger to grow. But at this time, a development from England was taking its first steps and helped keep alive the hope of many cities in the East of reaching greater economic influence and growth.
I've been waiting for you. I'm Philip Evan Thomas. It's always been my dream to build a railroad to the Ohio River and beyond. That would help everyone, both the settlers and the natives. And I need your help with that. First of all, I have two tasks for you in order to build a base from where we can monitor further activities. But as I learned back when I was a bank clerk, the books must always balance. So take care to make a profit, even with these preliminary assignments.
Okay, so we are here in Baltimore. This is our starting location. Now, to the south, we have Beatrice von Pomp. She is based out of Charlotte, just here. This is her railway network. And then to the north, up in New York, is Don Lorenzo. He is the other AI opponent, and he owns the King of Rails empire, railway empire, and so he's trying to expand his business, and he will encroach into our business's area over here, and Charlotte will start pushing up from down south towards this sort of area as well. She will also split off towards this sort of area, and Lorenzo will push in over this side as well. And so we're going to be competing directly for both cities and local resources as well against two separate AI companies, both determined to put us out of business. So, as we were told, we have two tasks. Let's take a look at those. We need to connect Baltimore and Washington, and we also need to connect 3 rural businesses to our network. They're nice, straightforward tasks to get us up and running. I'm going to start with a 2-track station here in Washington. Plonk that in just there. And now we need to get some businesses placed as well. Now, we only need to connect 3, but I'm going to go with 4. I'm going to go with a large station here to try and tag both of these businesses at the same time, like that. And I'm going to place the station here very deliberately to try and stop Lorenzo from coming in behind us and stealing access to these ones. And I'm also going to place a route like that as well. Although this one he's going to gain access anyway, so I'm going to put that one like that. There we go. So let's get these businesses linked up. And Beatrice is about to make her first appearance. You will grow to loathe Beatrice. Everybody does.
Oh, who's this new fish swimming in our pond? Greetings from the beautiful city of Charlotte. What was your name again? Beautiful stranger, wasn't it? Well, that's what you look like. Just let me know if you need help push-starting your trains.
Everybody hates Beatrice. Everybody I've spoken to who has played the game absolutely detests Beatrice. She's just a horrible, horrible person. Right, now we need to connect our rural businesses. So I'm going to start with a line here. And we're going to run this to this station just here. On the outside line like that. We need to do some tweaking because, as you can see, we have a tunnel which is very expensive. That's 116,000 for that small little tunnel just there. And we also need to kind of straighten the line up a little bit. So nice kind of straight exit point over there. That'll do. Let's raise this up a bit, like so. Still very expensive because we have this long bridge just here, so maybe let's reduce that down a little bit if we can. We've got a 5% incline here, that's a little bit steep. Let's see if we can flatten that out at all. So we're at 3% now, that's much more manageable. And substantially cheaper as well. We've got some earthworks here where we're carving into the land just there through that tunnel, or through that that hill, to create that little sort of valley for us to travel through. But it's substantially cheaper than it was, so we'll pay that price. There we go. And now we need to do the same over here as well. We need to get Nolan breeding up and running. I'm going to start with this line just here. And this one I'm going to bring in on this stop just there. And of course we need to reposition this. It's building a bridge kind of over the top. I'm not quite sure how that works, but it's actually building a bridge over the top of our existing bridge, which is a bit weird and a bit, against the laws of physics in a way. Let's take that line out straight like that and run that straight up there. That's 118,000. That's a 5% incline. Can we change that a touch? Make it a little bit shallower, perhaps? Maybe if I take that point out a bit. Try and change the height. Game's not running very smoothly at the moment. That's nothing wrong with the game. That's my PS4 is running a little bit hot right now, so it's kind of lagging a little bit. I need to give it a bit of a clean. It's probably getting quite dusty. The game itself does run very smoothly. I haven't had any real issues apart from when, just recently, because my PS4 is, as I say, in need of a bit of a clean. So it is causing a little bit of juddering every now and again as a result. I'll try and drag that out a bit more, give us a bit more width in the middle, just down here. Yeah, that'll do. Happy with that. Much cheaper as well, 107,000. So let's build that line there as well. And there we go, we've completed our tasks. We have 4 businesses connected to our stations. And it's time to put some trains on them as well. But before we do that, let's put in our supply towers. So I'm just going to plonk in a supply tower just here. Now, there's one other thing I need to do actually before we go too much further as well. I need to continue the work down here. So I need to drag this down into Washington, like so. That gives us connection there, and we want our other trains to run into Washington as well, but currently they don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a switch just there. Actually, let's bring that along a little bit first. Let's bring it out. Like so. We'll do the same on the opposite side. Bring that to about there. And that's the earliest point that we can do it, on that corner there. So there we go. We have our side routes. Let's put in signals. Actually, no, we don't need these signals at the moment because it's just these 2 trains. We can make another change a little bit later,
Look,
but we'll leave it like that
to be
for now.
clear,
Oh, and there's
I
Don
have
Lorenzo.
nothing against strangers. Some of my best friends are strangers. But you're not from here, and New York is my city. That's where I do business. I say when the trains roll, where they're going, and why. As long as you don't get in my way, everything will be A-okay between us.
The bigger a city gets, the greater its demands get too. At some point, the goods from the immediate area will no longer be enough. That's where the railroad comes in handy. Now select Baltimore to take a closer look at the city.
We'll do that in just a second, but before we do that, we need to get these trains up and running. So we've got a Grasshopper. It's the smallest train in the game. Tiny little thing, but let's get this one running from Thomas Breeding. That's going to come down to Baltimore, and then it's going to use that little switch that we put in so it can head to Washington, and then from there we want to go back to Baltimore, and then from there it'll run back to Thomas Breeding and pick up more vegetables and more cattle. That line is done. Let's put in another line with another Grasshopper, and this one we want to run from Nolan Breeding into Baltimore. And there you can see again we're using that switch there. From Washington it'll go, oops, I'll put that in twice. Washington will go back to Baltimore, and then back to Nolan Breeding. And there we go, we have 2 trains up and running. There's one last thing that we need to do, and that is to make sure that we have some maintenance taking place. So let's build a maintenance building just there. Excellent, so now we have a supply tower that'll keep our engines up and running with the supplies they need. We have a maintenance building just here to keep them in serviced condition. We have 2 separate routes that are transporting goods to and from our cities, and will also act as a route to shuttle passengers between Washington and Baltimore. Right, let's follow on with his instructions and click on Baltimore.
Baltimore, where the headquarters of our firm is located, has a large clothing industry. The city therefore needs a constant supply of fabrics. In New York, on the other hand, the fashion-conscious customers are waiting for deliveries of ready-tailored goods. Lay a rail line between Baltimore and New York so that the clothing produced in Baltimore can be delivered to New York.
So here you can see at the bottom, these are the two businesses that currently exist in Baltimore. The meat business, we're bringing cattle in so that we can create boots and also meat. And then we have the tailors, and we currently need, for this business, we need to bring in raw materials of fabric. Now, we don't have fabric. We don't have anywhere that supplies fabric close to us yet, so that's going to run out of supplies pretty soon. But the dresses that are being made, we can sell in New York, which is why we need to build a line up here. Now, as I say, this is Don Lorenzo's hometown. He will not take kindly to us building up here, and will see it as a big intrusion, which means he will now start to attack us and try and put us out of business as soon as we do this. So to make sure that we really rub him up the wrong way, because why the hell not, we're going to build the biggest possible station we can, and we're going to place it as close to his station as we possibly can as well. This will then stop him, hopefully, from actually being able to widen his station and move that to a 4-lane station. It helps keep us the bigger,
What are you doing with this station here? I'm already here.
the bigger business here in New York. So hopefully now he won't be able to actually expand this to a 4-track. I'm not too sure. If that was a single track, it would be much, much easier for us to get close to him. But hopefully he won't be able to actually expand next to us. We'll see in the future. Now we need to build a line that connects in. I'm going to build on the middle track, and basically we're going to build an express line that's going to come in on this track here. So we need to do a bit of repositioning. I'm going to run that parallel over there, like so. Now it's trying to build tunnels. We don't want the tunnels. In fact, actually, I'm going to build this on the other one instead. And instead of running parallel to that one, I'm going to run parallel to this line going over the bridge like that. There we go. That'll make it a little bit easier to cut through the countryside. Obviously, we've got to be careful we don't cut through the business. So I'm going to need to keep these rails parallel a little bit further around the corner. So I've got room to play with. Like that. We've got a 1% incline there. Then we've got a long bridge over here that sweeps all the way around like that. Now that's nice and it's pretty, but it's expensive. Very, very expensive. So we're going to try and make a change to that. And just by doing that, we've halved the cost of the line that was being proposed. Let's see if we can make it even cheaper. We've got it down to 307. 1% gradient over here. Let's drop a point there to give us a little bit more control. Got it down to 280. Now got it down to 240. 1% gradient and a 2% gradient, we can cope with those, that's absolutely fine. And a 1% gradient over there. So there we go, I'm quite happy with that. That is our express route. Can I just maybe tweak it? No, I shouldn't have done that. There we go. That's close enough. So we can live with those gradients. We've got a nice direct route. Let's confirm it. Excellent. And now I want to put in some passing points. So I'm going to build a duplicate line just along here for a stretch. There we go. And I'm going to build another one down here as well, because I'm going to run 2 trains on this line. One for kind of freight and random whatever, and the other one will be an express route. There we go. So let's put some signals in. So again, we're going to keep the trains running on the right-hand side. And the UK trains run on the left, but this is not the UK, this is America, so we'll do it the American way. There we go. And I need to put a supply tower in on this line as well. Once again, I'm going to put it on the switch track so that trains can refill while they're in this section if they need to. I'm going to place it quite centrally rather than at one particular end, so we're not having the train sticking out at the back of the siding. It keeps the rest of the line clear for any other trains. And let's get a couple of trains up and running. So, new train, add locomotive, and I want to go to rail line. I'm going to start in New York. I'm going to come down to Baltimore. From Baltimore, I'm going to... No, I'm not going to go back to Washington. I don't need to. I'll just run to Baltimore. Route options. This one is going to be an express goods only.
I'll let you get on
And
with
that
your
train is up and running.
responsibilities.
And now let's add
Stay
another
alert.
one.
I will check on your progress from time to time.
Oops. And same again. We'll get that to run from New York to Baltimore. And we'll leave this one as automatic. So this one can transport passengers and mail, and more importantly, can also transfer freight, which is how we're going to get those dresses transferred from Baltimore to New York. In fact, actually, let's start it in Baltimore. There we go. So the train will load up here. We're getting some meat and we're getting some dresses, which is good. Now, we built signals on this pass point, but I don't think we put them on this one, did we? No, we didn't. So let's quickly add those in up here as well. There we go. So there is our express train, just running nothing but passengers on this particular journey. Our other train is leaving, and this one is going to get to this point here. They're going to basically pass each other in this loop. Beautiful. Hardly any delay to our express at all there. Right, we have a little bit more research we can claim. Let's go with the covered freight car to ensure better transportation of live animals. This will give us a 10% increase in our fee per freight car. And we have 3 new tasks. Let's take a look at those. So we need to connect Baltimore to Pittsburgh, deliver 10 loads of cotton to Pittsburgh, and deliver 20 loads of clothing to New York. Well, we're just sending our first loads of clothing off, but we will not have enough materials at Baltimore to actually make 20 loads, so we need to get fabric into Baltimore to be able to make more clothing. Now, we do have fabric here in Pittsburgh, but getting to Pittsburgh is another thing. It's very, very hilly through here. It's going to be quite expensive actually connecting these cities up. So, just looking to see which is going to be the best way to do this, because we're going to need to put a station in, and it needs to be a relatively inexpensive station. Oh, leaf spring suspension is up for auction. We will place a bid. Oh, Beatrix has beaten us to it. Let's outbid her, hopefully. She's not going to like that. And we outbid her.
Say, are you a bit slow? I have already bid.
She just naturally expects that she will win every auction. You know, if she bids on it, that's it. No one else is allowed to. So any time you bid on something that she wants, she gets really, really huffy. Let's put in a 2-track station in Pittsburgh, just over here. Start there. That'll do. I'm also going to build a small station just here to connect our cotton industry go. And I'm also going to put in a large station just here as well. Like that. Now let's connect these together. And I'm deliberately putting these on separate lines for now. There we go. And I need to make sure that we have maintenance over here in Pittsburgh. Click on the station. Build a maintenance shed. There we go.
If you transport the clothing from Baltimore with your rail line, you will be making a considerable contribution to the growth of the industry. Everyone profits from that.
And then we have a nice little news story saying how big a rail network we're building already. We're on a roll. Oh, look at that! This is a South Park reference. Man, Bear, Pig is real. I've never seen that one before. Al G. Orr claims to have repeatedly seen a monster that looks like a man, bear, pig, or bear, man, pig, or something. According to his statements, it is very dangerous and is trying to destroy the world. In Mr. Orr's words, it's dead serious. Oh, no, it's not. It's not dead serious. It's super serial. I've never seen the Man Bear Pig story pop up before. That's awesome. I love that little South Park reference. That is fantastic. Right. So just a huge South Park fan. That really, really tickled me. We have an Indian resettlement bill passed. When these newspapers pop up, sometimes they're stories about us, sometimes, and the things that we've done. Sometimes they're about our competitors. Sometimes they're just random events that are happening, like this Indian resettlement bill. And sometimes they're smear campaigns. You'll see we get slandered in the press, or we slander an opponent in the press. You'll see things like that happen in a little while. What I'm going to do is basically I'm going to leave the paper up for a couple of seconds. If you want to read them by pausing, and then unpause when you finish reading. So, let's get back over here. We need to add in a train over here. So the most important train, first of all, is the one that is going to run from here to here, because this is the objective.
Excellent.
There we go.
You can hire train crews in the staff dialogue window. Then you'll need to view the train details of the selected train to assign the staff to it. Now open the train details of your most important train and assign an engineer and a stoker to it.
Okay, so this at the moment is our most important train. Oh, look at that! Look, see, he's already, our mafia friend has already loaded into Colin's estate. Now, one of the things that really infuriates me with the AI in this game is that we are bound by the rules of having to build passing tracks, as you can see, like this. AI is not bound by those rules, so you will see multiple trains running the same line at the same time and just going straight through each other as well. But look at the route that we forced him to take to be able to get all the way around here. He's had to come all the way around here, all the way around here, build this big bridge up over there with a bit of a steep incline as well. Look at that incline, that's horrific. And then into his station there. So this is where strategic placing of your stations and your tracks can have a really good effect on other people. Has this broken down? It has. Now this is the train we want to improve. Let's manage the train. This is where we're going to hire the staff. So we've got an engineer. We've got two to choose from. Let's take this guy. He gives us a speed boost. A stoker will also improve our speed. We have a conductor who will improve our ticket income. Now you can also get happiness bonuses like this. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to switch. I'm going to hire that guy instead. The train's not quite as fast as it could have been, but we get the happiness bonus, which should improve the morale on the train a little bit better, and also maybe improve the passengers' enjoyment of the journey
you don't
as
have
well.
first
And
call
on our other
on
train
cities,
that's running to
farms,
New
or
York,
mines. Of
which
course,
is
your
being loaded
transport
just here.
income will fall if your competitors
This is
connect
the train.
these to
This is
their
the wrong
rail
one, isn't it?
networks.
Okay, so on this one, let's
Tracks,
hire
locomotives, buildings,
this guy.
and cash all increase
This
the
is the one I
value
wanted,
of
the
your
express.
company. And the
So this
higher
is the guy
this
we're gonna
is,
hire,
the higher the price of your
the
company's
stoker
stocks.
and the conductor, because that's always going to be running passengers. So I want that to be the fastest train, and I want it to have the
Just as
best
other
morale.
companies buy stocks from you, you are able to buy some from them. If you do that, you will profit from the success of your competitors. You should buy stocks via the company dialogue window now.
So, in case you missed it, it popped up in the top left corner. Beatrix von Pomp just bought 5% of our business in shares. So let's buy some of someone else's business. So this is our business up here. We're currently worth 2.8 million. We have 896.4 miles of track with 5 engines running. Baltimore is now starting to grow as we get a good transportation of businesses and materials. And you can see here, Beatrix owns 5% of our business. Don Lorenzo doesn't own any of our business yet. Beatrix von Pomp, nobody owns anything of her business. She's worth 1.3 million at the moment and has 297.4 miles of rail. Don Lorenzo is worth very, very little at all at the moment. He will obviously improve. We are going to buy in him to start us off and buy 20% of his business.
If you own enough shares in your competitor, you can merge with them and incorporate their routes and buildings with yours. Your competitor will then be out of business for good.
Hey, thanks for trusting me, eh?
So yeah, you can put your opponents out of business if you want to. Although, because they run
This
multiple
should
trains,
stay just between us, as it's, well, not entirely legal. But we need to keep all of our options open. A saboteur has applied for a job with you. If you send him to one of your competitors, he will make trouble for them. This can also cause their stock price to fall. You don't have to deploy saboteurs to do better than your competitors. You could deal with them in a more classy and legal way. Take a look at which routes are more lucrative and will ensure you become the most important transporter there.
so he's there basically saying that, you know, he's giving us the option to fight dirty.
By the way,
but he's
your
also telling us we can
competitor, Don Lorenzo,
take the moral high
is a
ground.
bit of a gang boss. You can imagine that he has good connections to bandits and saboteurs, so it's much easier for him to deploy such characters.
So, this professor here will give us research tasks to our companies. We receive $75,800 and a one-off innovations point reduction of 100. This basically means we give him 100 of our innovation points and we get a cash payout. It's not what I want to do. I would rather keep the points and not worried about the money. Here is the Saboteur. So this guy can bring one of our opponent's stations or industries to a halt for several weeks through sabotage. I am going to not do that. The one person I would sabotage would be Don Lorenzo, but we just bought a lot of stock in his company, so that would be kind of a silly thing to do. We are going to buy a new train though. We're going to get the John Bull.
Oh, this new locomotive looks adventurous.
Well done. You now possess your first block of shares in a competitor. You should have learned the most important aspects of your position by now. I'll let you get on with your responsibilities. Stay alert. I will check on your progress from time to time.
So I'm going to upgrade my Grasshopper to a John Bull. This is a faster train. So this will it also has a bit more power as well. So it'll get up the hills and inclines better, and will run that express route a lot better, which will make it a much more valuable line. I'm going to do the same on our other New York train as well. To make that a John Bull as well. The other two trains I'm not going to worry about. I'll leave those as grasshoppers for now. And there's a little article about us. So again, if you want to read it, pause now. And there we go. We have 5 tasks extra now. We need to connect Baltimore and Pittsburgh still. 20 loads of clothing to New York. We've delivered 14, and I think we're pretty much out of clothing now. We need to connect Baltimore and Toledo. Reach a population of 100,000 in Baltimore. Achieve a company value of 20 million. And then optional tasks. Connect 10 rural businesses to our network. We have 4 connected so far. And buy out one of our competitors' companies. So let's see if we can buy out Don Lorenzo perhaps. Right, connecting to Pittsburgh is going to be very, very expensive. I really want to push straight into Buffalo, but we can't connect to another city until we connect to Pittsburgh. It just will not let us. So I could build a route down here and try and connect to Norfolk, but again, until we've connected Pittsburgh, then we can't connect to Norfolk. We can connect to this business here, no problem at all. We can connect to these businesses over here, no problem at all, but we cannot connect to Norfolk or another city until we connect to Pittsburgh. We have got an accountant up here though. Now she is an office staff, and she will reduce the cost of successful auctions by 20%. Yes, I want to keep her. That's going to be very useful. We also have a mediator here. He will give us a one-off reduction of 25%.
The human body isn't designed to travel at such speeds.
She's just bitter because our engines are faster. I bet we just set... Yep, there we go. We set a new speed record. That's why she's bitter and complaining. Right. Yeah, we need to get across here, and it's horrendously expensive to do so. So let's see what else we can do instead. Well, we are going to have...
One day the railroad will reach all the way to the West Coast. Every day, huge crowds of people set out to cross the entire country, and the trains will continue to get faster. Don't look at me like that. We can't stop progress.
Shouldn't you also leave a bit of room for more efficient rail systems?
She's bitter because we're expanding now. Like I said, she is a horrible, horrible character. Nobody likes Beatrix. She does nothing but complain about everything. Trying to find a decent route that's going to allow us to connect through here. Yeah, that'll do. Problem we've got is because this is such a long little bit here, I think we're going to have to take some of that out actually. No, actually what we can do is we can fix that by having... clear the planning off. Let's build a bit of track that's going to follow along here, like so. And let's link those up there, like that. Now, if I go to the trains running on this route, where is it? That's not it. And we have got a conductor available though, so let's... That's London breeding. No, I want the other New York train. It's this one. Let's see, conductor. This is the new applicant. There we go. That'll give us a ticket revenue on any passengers that we're transporting. Oh, another conductor. Well, we don't need another conductor just yet. But what I do need is I need to remove this here. So let's go to demolish and remove that piece of track like so. There's a bonus for a new industry in Washington. Oh, that's something we could look at doing. Yeah. Oops. How much is it going to cost us? Quite a bit. Could do with a brewery, but unfortunately we don't have 400,000. Although what we could do is we could go back and we could sell those shares in Don Lorenzo. He's now worth over $1 million. So if we sell those shares, what do we get back? 194,000. Yes, let's do that. And let's build a brewery in Washington. And I'm going to plonk that just there. Excellent. So, now we should be able to transport this wheat down into here and get that bonus there. And I'm hoping that the trains are automatically going to link across onto this platform here. Stationmaster is available. This is another office staff member, and he will help us out with turning trains around and things like that. Streamlines work processes at all stations, reducing time taken for dispatching trains by 5%. Yes, definitely want one of those. That'll help get our trains in and out of the stations a little bit quicker. What else have we got here? We want to increase the number of passengers in every city where we have a station by 10%. Yes. And who is the other person that's hanging around? A new applicant. Oh, it's another conductor, isn't it? Let's have a look at the conductor that we currently have on this train. Yeah, see, she will hate. Well, this guy will hate working with. Yeah, we can't hire him. He'll hate working with that engineer. Need to connect through here. This is, as I say, going to be horrendously expensive. But first of all, I'm going to connect more logging into Baltimore, just here, like this. Just checking the route. I'll try and keep those earthworks down if I can. Try and build a slightly more economical route. Looking at those gradients, they're quite bad. That's not too bad a route. We'll build that. I'm trying to actually get us broke, if I can, so that he'll bail us out and give us the money we need to build straight through. Let's add a locomotive. Let's just get a grasshopper on this. We don't need the wood in there, but we'll set the transport route up anyway. We might then be able to run it to another industry from there. And it also gives us a start point for us to actually go ahead and build a connection through to Pittsburgh, which we desperately need to do. See this really big tunnel. Now we can reduce the price of that by changing the line that the tunnel takes and making it as short as we possibly can. But we need to be careful about gradients again. put it down to 360. This is quite a steep line, as you can see. I think that may possibly be as good as we're going to get it. Okay, so we need 740. That's a huge amount. Way more than we can really afford. Let's see if we can convince Daddy Warbucks to give us some extra cash. How can we go about doing that? I need to connect to Toledo, don't I? Yeah, but at the moment I can't. Ooh, John Hancock. Let's plonk a bid down. Mainly just to see if it will keep it out of the hands of someone else.
Excuse me, but could you keep out of this? You're driving the price up.
See, she doesn't like it. Even when we bid on something that she doesn't bid on, she still complains because she might have wanted to bid on it, but then didn't because we had something there. Alright, see if I can bankrupt us a little bit by plonking that in there. In Toledo. We can build the station, but we can't connect to it. Oh, no, we can't even build in there. Again, we still haven't completed this construction over here, so we just can't do anything else until we get that sort of line connected up there. This is where it starts to get frustrating. So let's try and spend some money in other ways. Let's put a maintenance yard up here in New York. Let's put another one here.
Did you know
in
that I am
Washington.
speaking in Washington on behalf of some Indian tribes? They have granted me the title of Hiwa Nob, which means the benevolent one.
Let's put a John Hancock in instead of that grasshopper. Oh, I'm trying to spend all my money here, guy. Help me out. I can't even afford to put in a John Hancock now. This is frustrating. Right, basically, I think I kind of screwed up a little bit here by spending all of our money. We've got a market crier. That would really, really help us, but we don't have the money for that. Oh, yes, now we do. We're going to put comfort in there and try and get a lot more passengers on our lines. So, we're kind of running low on time for the rest of this episode as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically speed time up and just let it run for a little while and try and earn some money so that we can build the route through to Pittsburgh. Now hopefully we can get there and get the rest of that clothing delivered before Don Lorenzo starts to, you know, supply fabrics in there himself. So I will see you in the next episode, hopefully when we have enough cash to actually connect everything up over here. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll see you again with the next part of this chapter very soon.